You're listening to Hello, Good Life, the podcast where we help you define what your good life means to you. We're diving into the nitty-gritty of creating an intentionally good life that you love, from the good, the bad, to the downright ugly, and everything in between. Here's your host, Shay Hrobsky.
Hello, good life. I am so excited to be here. I am Shay, your podcast host, and I am excited to dive right in. This episode is going to essentially tell you who I am, what I define as a good life, how you can start to look at what a good life means to you, and what this podcast is going to be about. Because, of course, when you're listening to a podcast, you want to know what it's going to be about. I'm really excited to get started with this. I really want to share from my heart. I want to share interviews, personal stories, personal experiences, others' personal experiences. I want to dive into the good, the bad, the ugly. I want to do all the things with you, and I want to take you on that journey with me. So thank you for being here. I'm going to tell you a little bit about who I am and what I do and all the things, and then we are going to dive in. So I am Shay. I live in Wisconsin with my family. I have a husband and two beautiful children who are in all the activities. They are both really excellent at sports. They have just this uncanny, I cannot speak today on my first podcast. They have this incredible ability to make me laugh, especially if we are in like a heated moment. Because when you're parenting a tiny person who is very similar to you, my daughter, it can get frustrating. And so her ability to shine through with her good life and ease the uncomfortableness and sometimes ease the hard conversations. It's just incredible. And I will actually talk to you. Both of my kids, they're human design. They are manifestors. I am a projector and my husband is a generator. We're going to talk more about that on a different episode. But if you are somebody who already knows what human design is, you know that we are a very, very, very full of energy house, along with my husband and son being Virgos, my daughter being a Pisces, and I'm a Capricorn. So pray for me, friend. Please pray for me. Anyways, let me tell you about me. I have been in the online world since my son was in my belly. At 5 months pregnant, I was working in a corporate job, having to make at minimum 70 calls a day. I was making at minimum 100 because we were paid off of commission. And we were bringing a new baby into the world and things were changing. To say that I hated that job would be an understatement. I cried going to work every day. On top of that, it did not help that work was over 30 to 40 minutes away. Now, I know some people who live in big cities or who drive like 90 minutes one way. And if you love that, great. If not, I am sorry. It was not fun for me. But at 5 months pregnant, I ended up blacking out and passing out at work and ended up in the ER. My husband had to rush from his job to come be by my side. And at that point I knew, okay, like you cannot do this. This is not good for you. This is not good for your life. This is just not happening. And so I quit. And my husband we weren't married at the time. And he was thinking, Shay, did you just quit your really nice paying job with benefits to stay at home? Yes, honey, I did. Did I have a plan? No, I did not. But my heart knew something had to change. Now, with that said, I'm not going to go from the rags to riches, but I will say this. We were broker than broke. I'm talking about like when our son was 4 months old, we had our electricity cut off. When my daughter was 6 months old, because our kids are 18 months apart, we got our electricity cut off again. it was a really rough first 3 years of me building the business and barely making ends meet. I had even tried going back to get a job. I worked at a company called Tyson in their billing department. Yes, the chicken place. And it was at their chicken facility or was it their sausage facility? All I know is that going into that office made me want to completely just die. The smell was horrid. And I am already one, before I was even pregnant, I had a sensitive sniffer, if that's what you want to call it. And so going into there was at the absolute worst. I think I lasted there about a week. And I said to my husband, I will figure this out. It might not be pretty. We might have to pinch pennies. We might have to do fish sticks. We might have to do ramen, but I will figure this out. And so we did. I started working as an account manager for an amazing social media company, which is where I got my experience with digital marketing, with Facebook ads. And she ended up giving her business away and saying, "Do you want my clients?" And I said, "Heck to the yes, I do." And one of the clients said, "Hey, I need your help running Facebook ads," when he came on to work with me. And I said, "I've only done that once and it was not beautiful, but let me try. Let us get in, let us do the dirty work." And that was in 2012, I think is the timeline, 2012, 2013. And so I have been in Facebook ads quite a while. And I built up this beautiful business that allows me to have incredible clients. Like, some of my clients are the best people in the world. One client helps people get out of debt. One client helps young women and teenage girls to get their self-confidence back. Another client helps build wealth. Another client helps with breath work so that you can learn how to internally soothe yourself. Like, the people that I work with, I am the most grateful for. But in this journey to getting to this spot, it took me lots of sleepless nights. You could ask my husband. He would wake up and at 2 a.m., I would be on the computer researching, oh my gosh, what's a good CTR? What is this? What is good creative for us to test with the client? How can I show up and do this with the client? And it shaped me and my business to where it is now. And I have been very fortunate where I've had to do very little marketing because I've been referral based. But now I want to get out there more. I have worked through my own, which I'm actually going to talk about on this episode. And not this episode, I'm sorry, the show. I think it'll have its own episode, but I've worked through my own confidence blocks. I've worked through my own being visible blocks. And I know I'm going to probably get triggered as I go about doing this, but I want to share with you what I have done to create our incredible good life and share some of the things that I have done to manifest this and also the actions that I take. Because if you have faith or say, I want this, but you're not taking the actions and your identity isn't moving in that direction, you're never going to get there. And so again, let's call a spade a spade. In order to do that, you need faith plus action. And that's where the miracles come in place. And so I'm excited to share that with you. I know that was long, but I wanted to give you a sense of how I got here and to know that there were points where I would be with the children during the day. And then once I did get that contract with the client who I was her account manager, the kids did go to daycare for a little bit because we were able to afford it. But we were still so far behind and barely making ends meet that I would work during the day when they were at daycare part-time, spend time with them, go outside, go for walks, take them to the park. And then once the kids would go to sleep, I would get back on my computer and work till 1, 2 in the morning so that I could give myself that momentum and the ability to get it done. So don't think that this is some overnight success, because it's not. It's a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of sweat, a lot of tears, a lot of, am I doing this right? Or, oh my Lanta, I am screwing it all up. So yes. So that's a little bit about my journey to here and why I started this podcast, which is I want to share my story, other stories, and what I define and how I'm going to continue defining what that life looks like to me and how I am going to be going against the status quo. I don't know. Maybe I will. I don't want to say never because every time I say never, something ends up happening and it ends up happening. So I don't know that I would ever work for somebody else again, but to request my time off, it feels just inauthentic to me at this point after all of the years and all of the other stuff. Now, with that said, let me tell you a few random fun facts about me. I am a lover of Christmas. My parents were Jehovah's Witnesses growing up. And so I had Christmases until I was 8. Then my parents converted to being Jehovah's Witnesses. So I have lots of stories about that and not understanding, hey, why did Christmas and my birthdays get taken away? Which, again, I can make a whole episode on that too. But when I moved out of my house, went to college and moved out on my own. I became obsessed with Christmas and that ooey gooey, gushy, like being with family. And I'm so grateful that families took me in and like let me be a part of their extended family for the holidays. And so I am obsessed with Christmas. I watch Christmas movies year round. I listen to Christmas music year round. My husband is not a fan, but I do. I am obsessed with cooking. If you're like, hey, Shay, why don't you come to my house or can I come over and why don't we create some recipes? As long as they have potatoes, I am in. Like, as long as you have potatoes and you're like, let's create this amazing entree with a potato side. Let's go. Again, both of my kids are in a lot of sports. My son does football, baseball, basketball, and bowling. My daughter she was in hockey. She has gone back to dance now. And then she does softball. And then next year, she's going to be doing track, which I'm excited for. And so all of their teams, except for football, are travel teams. And then track will be through their school. So we are traveling all over for them. And again, this was another reason why I wanted to create more freedom is so that I could be present as much as I can with them, especially with my husband and I having to divide and conquer. My husband does not work from home, just as I said his name, quick segue. He works about 45 minutes away. And so he works in is it social services with a juvenile detention center? And so he works towards helping kids. He wants to help kids, let kids know that despite the stuff that they've done, that there are people that care and want to take care of them and have their best interests at heart and helps to hopefully rehabilitate them. He's very altruistic in a sense. Anyways, that is a little bit about me. Let us go in. I want to keep the non-interview podcast about 20 to 30 minutes. I want this to be in bite-sized chunks. I want you to feel like you're getting knowledge, you're getting takeaways where you can go take the actions that you need to so you can move forward in your life and create that good life that you want. And you could already have a good life. And you could just say, I want to enhance certain areas. I mean, I'm very grateful for the life that we have now, but I'm in a state of revisioning my life, which also means decluttering a lot of the stuff that we already have, simplifying and just being more present. And so actually, that's what my good life is going to be looking like moving forward, being more present with our kids, less technology time when we're all together, more game nights, more travel. We're going to be doing a couple road trips this year. We're going to be taking a vacation as well this fall. And yeah, just really being present. One thing that we're also going to be doing, we did this at the beginning of the year, but I dropped the ball and I did not get a poster, which we're going to be choosing our family core values. And we're going to just go through and see because we have seasons that change. And so what my goal is to do summer core values versus school year core values, because during the school year, with all of their activities and with all of their education, Our goal basically is to make sure that they're getting enough sleep, getting enough water, making sure all of this other stuff. And of course, in the summer, it's that too. But our core values might change to, okay, let's have more fun versus, having to wake up and get to school immediately. And so we're going to look at our core values, we're going to look at our beliefs, and we're going to look at what our non negotiables are. So I would love for you to think about those three things too. So, what are your family core values? What are your family's beliefs? Our beliefs are, hey, we are going to show up as leaders. We are going to be kind to everyone until they give you a reason, essentially not to be kind. And then it's not that we're going to be unkind. It's just we're going to take a step back, keep our distance if we can't have a healthy conversation. And then what are your non-negotiables? So the kids know in the summer, because they are outside so much more, my non-negotiable is that they need to be getting at least 40 ounces of water in. I know it probably should be more, but having my kids drink water is already hard enough, except for when they are playing baseball or softball or football. So my goal is to at least get them that each day. A non-negotiable is Cameron does his Bible app every day. I do my Growth Day app every day. I do my Stay Golden app every day. Greenlee's non-negotiable, it's going to be reading. And so just really thinking about our summer values, beliefs, non-negotiables, and putting that all together. And then what I'm going to do once we get it all together is put it on a poster, and I'm going to hang it in our kitchen, because the kitchen is where we are the most throughout every day. We are in the kitchen getting food, getting water, getting snacks, moving around, all the things. So then we see that, and it is a fresh reminder. And so we'll do that again in the fall. And then when seasons change, we might do a winter one too. But then it opens up the conversation, and it allows our kids to think outside the box and be proactive versus reactive, starting to think, hey, how can I create purpose within myself? How can I understand what my core beliefs are as a teen so that I'm confident in my own skin, and not just the, oh, I'm going to be reactive, think about this stuff after the fact with that. So again, take notes on that. Think about questions that we ask. What values do you hold dear? What principles guide your decisions? A lot of people don't have any principles, and they make quick reactive decisions. That was something that I absolutely used to do. And so with my good life, with how I'm showing up and choosing to see things differently, I am doing my best, although I am not perfect. And there's some games when I am at baseball or softball where you're going to hear me yell reactively because there's a play or there's something happening. But what principles am I choosing to really think about what's guiding me? What beliefs shape how I'm doing what I'm doing? What are my non-negotiables individually so that I can share those with my children so that they can understand that? And then thinking in growth mindset versus barely surviving mindset that so many of us have lived in, waiting to get to Friday and then, hey, let's have drinks. Let's do this. Let's do that. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. We do that too. But when you start to get more proactive, more purpose filled, more soul filled, then you start to live easier. Again, the beginning is harder, but then I promise you, it gets easier. One more thing that I want us to start to think about, I'm not going to go in here because I already feel like this has gotten so deep. Like, you learned about me, you learned about like the three things that we are looking at, the core values, our beliefs, and our non-negotiables. And essentially, like, that's going to be, like I said, our family core values too. So I don't want to give you too much information, but I want you to really ponder that. And I promise you, it will change a bit of your mindset and a bit more of how you show up. And then one thing we're going to discuss in an episode down the road is about creating your identity. And this is a big thing that I am in right now. It's, what is the role of identity in living a good life? Is it, I'm always waiting till Friday for me to breathe? Or is it, Yes, during the week it's a bit busy, but how can I find joy in the little moments? My son comes into my room every night to say goodnight. He'll either lay on my bed, sit on my bed, give me a hug, talk a little bit. And how can I find joy and appreciation in that moment? Because a lot of kids don't necessarily do that. And how can I bring more of that? Because that is one of my things I want to bring into my identity is more joy. I am a joy-filled person. And that's how I'm going to be talking about that down the road. I will dive more into that later. That is going to be a whole episode. I actually might interview one of my favorite people on the topic of identity and also confidence. So I will dive more into that later. I want to thank you for being here. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear what your core values are, what your beliefs are, and what your non-negotiables are, especially when you self-reflect on those questions. What values do you hold dear? What beliefs shape and influence your actions? What are your non-negotiables? Please share them with me. I cannot wait to hear from you. Thank you for listening to the first episode. I'm going to work through one more thing I did want to share with you because I am the type of person who is fairly personal, a pretty open book. I do have ADHD. And so sometimes it might feel like I'm jumping from place to place. Give me grace as I am going through this new journey. I've not had a podcast in years. And so I'm going to be learning with you, sharing with you, and doing all of this with you. And I'm just really excited to be here, be present, and help you determine what your good life is. All right. Thank you so much for being here, and I will chat with you soon.
Thanks for listening to Hello, Good Life. To connect more with us, check out soulfueledlife.com.